Hey, what's up, everyone? Game Dad here, and we are back with a shell replacement and an IPS mod upgrade kind of thing for this guy right here. This is an old Game Boy Advance SP that I have had for many years, and the screen is absolute trash. I mean, you can see it kind of spinning down below, and I mean, you can barely see it coming through. It's fully like lit up in here, and you can still barely see the screen. So by the time this is done, I will be able to show you the footage of this thing actually spinning with a nice bright brand new screen on there. And it's also going to have a nice cool new shell. Now this is a Super Famicom looking shell, so we're going to get this thing totally taken apart, get the screen modded, get the new shell on, and make this thing look awesome. All right, and there we have it. This thing is fully modded out, and I'll go ahead and throw up a little B-roll of what it looks like with this amazing new screen on here. This thing is visible in any light now and just looks fantastic. Love that Super Famicom theming on there, and yeah, this thing is all ready to go and looks great. Hey, what's up everyone, Game Dad here, and coming at you with another mod video. This time, taking a look at this Game Boy Advance. Now, I had done a shell swap on this years ago, and never really looked back at it again. Now, it does still work, as you can see in the little bit of B-roll I got going there, and believe it or not, it was actually on in that B-roll, and that's just how terrible the screens were on this. You couldn't see a dang thing on it. So what I am going to do is get this completely reshelled to look like a Super Famicom, because I like the Super Famicom shells. And we are also going to do an IPS mod to it. That way we can make this screen actually, you know, visible and playable. So sit back, enjoy the time lapse, and here we go. there we have it. Much, much brighter screen. I'll have a little B-roll again going for you down there. That way you can see just how much better this screen is. You can actually see it. Looks phenomenal. Digging the Super Famicom shell that we got on here. Got all the different colored buttons and everything, and wow, this thing just looks great. And this one is actually adjustable. Look at that, low light, highlight. Just hold down that select button and you can hit those buttons. Excellent. There you go. Hey, what's up everyone? Game Dad here, and I'm coming back at you with another Let's Mod video. This time, we are taking this nasty looking Game Boy Advance SP and we're going to give it a new shell. We're going to make it look like Pikachu, so that'll be fun. And we are going to give it a new screen as well. That is the IPS mod. That way, this thing becomes way brighter, looks way better, and it won't feel all gross and nasty like it came from a flea market. But before we dive into this mod, if you are new to the channel or you just haven't yet, please be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. So what's that little notification bell so you can alert every time I get a new video coming out. Now let's dive in and make this thing look like new again. All right, it is now time to take this old crusty thing, turn it into a Pikachu edition, and give it an IPS upgrade. So we're going to go ahead and get this completely disassembled, and we will go from there. All right, so there you have it, everyone. That is a nice new Pikachu Edition SP, and this thing actually went together a lot easier than some of them. I don't know why, but we got that nice new IPS screen in there. I did find that the battery that was inside of this was totally swollen, so I've put a new battery in it, and I'm going to leave it on the charger. That way it can get all nice and charged up for use. But I have been able to test it on a cable, and it works perfectly fine. Nice and bright. All the brightness levels work on it. It's got, I think it's 9 different levels of brightness. For me personally, I always put things on the brightest level. I don't know. I just like a really bright screen. But yeah, this is all ready to go.
You know what? It pays to know the right people, and I'm going to tell you something right now. The guy that this channel belongs to, Game Dad, is one of the right people. Because he has a skill set that I just don't have. I am inept when it comes to modifying electronics. I don't know how to solder. I can't do any of it. What's going on, everyone? I'm Jay. My channel is Square Pegs, and Chris, I need you to go check the mail.
Huh? Why?
No, seriously, go check the mail, dude.
Dude, oh, it's raining outside right now, and it's cold. Why do I have to go check the mail?
Just trust me, okay?
Fine.
A few moments later.
It was cold outside, and wet. But dude, is this the lime green Game Boy Color that you got at Midwest Gaming Classic?
Yes, that is the lime green Game Boy I picked up at Midwest Gaming Classic with you, and I was wondering, man, could you please put one of those nice new screens in it for me?
So you want me to mod something, huh? Okay. Let's do this. It's modding time. Alright, so here we have that Game Boy. I put Pokemon Crystal in it, and as you can see, it is quite hard to actually see it. So that is no bueno, and we're going to make this thing look a lot better. So let's go ahead and turn that off. We'll take out, in my opinion, the greatest Pokemon game from the Color generation, or Game Boy Color era, and that is Crystal. All right, let's go ahead and pop these batteries out. Thank you, Jay, for including them. Then I didn't have to hunt them down. Now, you only need 2 different screw bits when you are working on a Game Boy Color. One is a Phillips. I use a PH0 for the Phillips, and then the other is a little Y0. It is a tri-wing screw bit. So we're going to go in here, and we're going to get rid of all of these. There's only a few screws holding the shell down. Makes it a little bit easier there. Get these, and sometimes they'll pop right out for you, sometimes they will not. Like right now. This one is being difficult. Here we go. Okay, then we got 2 more underneath the battery cover down in here. And there we go. 6 screws undone. We pop that off. And what we'll do here is actually force those screws back out since they were being difficult. Out it goes. Now, Jay did not want any kind of a, there we go, all 6 screws. He did not want any kind of shell swap on this, so we will not be swapping the shell. But we're going to go right here, release these 2 little tabs that are holding the screen cable. We're not going to need that screen. We pull that out. Now here is where we switch to our Phillips. Again, that is a PH0, I believe. Yes, PH0. We have 3 screws holding down the motherboard. So we undo those 3. Luckily they are a different size, makes it a lot easier to be able to keep them separate. Unlike when you get into like a Game Boy Advance or an SP, things like that, there are a lot more screws of varying sizes. Alright, now, board is undone. We can go ahead and just dink, pop that right out. And there we go. Wow, this thing, it is really clean. I don't even need to really hit it with any kind of propel or anything like that. It is just, it's solid. Very nice. You got a clean Game Boy here, man. I don't know if you already opened it and tried to clean it or what, but it is quite nice. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pull this screen out. We don't need this anymore. And let's see, we'll get these little sensors and switches out of my way. And what you do to pop these out, if you're seeing right here, you just kind of twist the plastic ever so slightly. It'll release that glue bond that it has. Then you can get underneath there. Again, don't need this screen, so I'm gonna just pop that out. I'll send it back when I send this. That way he at least has the original screen. And this new one also comes with a new cover. Let's see, how is his current one doing? It's kind of scratched. We're going to replace that. So we just apply some pressure in the corners, and that will help release the glue on that. And then just pry that off. Boom, that is free. All right, now this is pretty much prepped. So what we're going to do now is move on to the actual screen itself. Here I have it on its little baggie that it came in. That way I don't scratch the glass. That would be unfortunate. Now what we're going to do here, it comes with this little bit of film right here. And what this does is kind of protect this metal backing. That way more metal doesn't touch it and cause issues with shorts and stuff like that. So it does have quite a bit of stick to it, so you can pretty easily just remove it and put it back if you kind of mess up. But just make sure, cover all that metal backing. That way you don't end up with a short later. Okay, now that that piece is done, we have our little board right here. And this little board connects to this board right here. Now, as you can see, it's got 3 little connectors on it. We got one little flip up there, got one little flip up here, and another one right here. And it also comes with 2 other little ribbon cables. Now, this super tiny one, this is actually a touch sensor, very hard to see there against the white backdrop. That is a touch sensor to allow you to change some settings, and this one is a pin adapter to make sure that the board can actually go out to the motherboard connection right here. So we need to get all of these connected. So we're going to go like this, connect this little piece up. They just slide into place nice and firm. Trap down the little door. Same thing with this one. Just stick that right there. And in it goes. And then a little trap door down. And now we have this one. And all of this, if it looks like it's way wider than the Game Boy, that is because it is. It will get folded. So keep in mind that, you know, it is a flexible ribbon cable. It can be flexed. So we're going to go ahead and slide this in. I'm right-handed, so it's easier to do it this way. I'm going to slide that in where it goes, trap door down. It will line up with some little white lines that are on there. And now, to ensure that this gets put in place properly, and to ensure that this gets put in place properly, I'm going to go ahead and actually stick this onto the shell. That way this has a place to go and it won't fall through. So you just peel off the sticky backed layer. There we go. That just comes right off. And then now we stick it into place on here. Just use a nice firm press down on there. That'll help adhere the glue. And this does have a protective film over it right now that we'll remove at the end. So now that that screen is in place, give it a quick little wipe down there. That way none of the dust or anything comes through. Same thing with the screen itself. Just kind of blow that dust off. And then what you do is you stick this one right in its place right here. And it is not the exact same width as a regular Game Boy screen. These ones aren't. The resolution is just ever so slightly different. So you just get it just centered. Then you can double check that on the other side. You can see how there's a little bit of the bars showing. I have yet to find a single IPS screen for Game Boy Color that does not have this. If you know of one, let me know in the comments below. But let's see here. Let's get this all lined up. That way it is centered and not super noticeable. There we go. So that is centered in there. Now, next step is to put on this 3M tape, and this helps everything just kind of stick to this, which is what we want. We want it all to stick and hold in place. So we're just going to throw that right there, and we'll go ahead and peel the backing off of it now. There we go. All right, so with the screen in place, we just need to get this all nice and folded up just like this. And it will just kind of sit in place on that 3M. And make sure that when you put it down on that 3M, it kind of sits nice and in between everything. That way nothing is getting messed up, nothing's getting tweaked, and there will be plenty of room for the shell to close when it needs to. So as you can see, there are some white lines on this board. That will help line everything up, and we'll just kind of smush that down. Now this has enough ability to go all the way around where the board is going to be. And then this is actually the version 5 of this board. I believe it was version 5 when they switched this sensor over to the left side over here versus being inside of the little infrared sensor. So it used to be over here, now it's over here. And with that, I believe it still works just as it did before. You just kind of have it sitting there and it will detect when you are tapping on top of that. It's not a motion sensor or anything like that. I think it just detects that you are getting close enough to it. So lost a little bit of that D-pad there. Let's put that back. Okay, let's go ahead and put this back in here. That is the start and select. All right, and now we are at the point where we just gotta put the board back in. So let's go ahead and do that. This just slides right into here. The speaker goes into its spot, and everything should just kind of fall right into place. All right, now with all that in place, gonna go ahead and put the little IR sensor back into here. It's not even the actual sensor, it's just that little piece that covers the little infrared lights. So let's see here. Okay, once that's back in there, we gotta make sure that we put the actual power switch back in, because that would not be good if you couldn't use it. Got that power switch in, it's clicking just fine. Now do keep in mind that with that 3M foam that is in there, there is a little bit more force that you have to put here, but it is not a lot and nothing that should damage the system in any way. Just, you know, be careful. Don't put a ton of extra force onto things. So just putting that screen cable back in where it goes, and we are going to sandwich down the clips on either side. Now from there, all we need to do is put some screws back in place. So let's put these 3 Phillips ones back. It is nice to have a magnetized screwdriver. Makes life a lot easier when putting these tiny screws back where they go. Now we sandwich the back plate back onto this. That is good to go. That'll all get screwed in place. So let's switch back from our PH0 to our Y0. And we're going to go ahead and get all of these screws back in where they go. All right, now we'll go ahead and throw the batteries back in, cover that up, throw the game back in, and now let's check out the new screen on here, shall we? Already, I can tell from the camera, you can actually see it now. So let's let that load up to the next part. There we go. That is a significantly brighter screen. Let's see if I can focus that in for you. There we go. Much more crystal clear screen as well. And let's go ahead and get the film off of this, which will help make it pop just that much more. There we go. Get that nice satisfying peel. And there we have a nice new screen on here. Breathe a little life into it. And let's see. Yep, so that touch sensor is working for the brightness. So it's at its brightest setting right now. I can tap that. As you can see, it gets a little more dim. Dink, back to bright. So pretty much when you turn the dimming all the way down, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there. The IPS is off right now. That's what you saw before. And then that's what you see now. Nice difference in there. Looks phenomenal. Has a hair on the screen. But this is all set, good to go. And since it's the version 5 where the sensor's over here now, you can still use the IR communication port. On previous versions, it would actually block those, so you couldn't even use it anymore. So excellent design. I do like that they are over there now. So awesome. All right, so there you have it, everyone. Nice new IPS screen installed on here. and it has that brightness sensor up in the upper right corner of the screen. That way you can turn it off, you can lower it, you can have it at full brightness. I'm a full brightness man myself, so excellent. I hope you like this, buddy. This will actually be, you know, playable at night and outside, so that's very nice. I have full lights in here, and I can see this thing perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it now. Looks fantastic. And it's a very easy drop-in replacement that anyone can do. So hopefully me talking through it helped you all, and hopefully you will be able to do one of these mods yourself. It's very easy, and in a lot of these videos I've been getting comments lately that you would much rather hear me actually talk through the process of doing it other than just dropping in some music and doing just kind of like a rough cut going through it. So hopefully this is what you guys wanted, and hopefully that helps, and I hope you liked today's video. We're gonna mod it. We're gonna make it better. That's what this is. This right here is a Bivert kit, if I can figure out how to open it. So we have an LED backlight. We have a Bivert kit right there. And then, what's this one? Do I have another one in here? Oh, I have 2 Bivert kits right here. So I guess I will do that to another one later on. The reason I will not do it to this one is because this Game Boy doesn't work. This one, the speaker isn't that great. And this has a bunch of vertical lines on it. So if I can't fix the screen on this one, then I'm going to swap this screen into it, and then we're going to get it all biverted and backlit and make this thing extra pretty. So like right now, I don't have a game in it, but you should still be able to get an idea. So that's what it looks like now. You can see some vertical lines. You probably didn't hear it. The speaker's super faint on this, so I'm going to see if I can get that working properly again. But yeah, this thing, it needs love. It's hard to see. They were next to impossible to see during the day, and it's just, yeah, we need to make this better. So that's what we're about to do. We're going to get this disassembled, and if needed, I will get this disassembled to steal parts from, because this thing is just completely dead and corroded, but I may be able to steal some parts from it. And then we're going to get this installed and make this look fancy. And real quick, before we get started on the mod, I showed you what it looked like without a game in, and then here's what it looks like with a game in, playing one of my favorite Game Boy games of all time. That is Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins. And there it is, very difficult to see, very hard on the eyes. I don't know how I ever played this, but yeah, there it is. And you can kind of hear the audio in it. Not very well, but it's there-ish. So, let's crack these open, shall we? Alright, so there you have it, everyone. That is a nice new Bivert mod and backlight kit done to an original Game Boy. And as I said, this thing looks amazing now, has a crystal clear screen. Now, I have heard there's some sort of mod you can get to actually do like a color screen on one of these. I have no idea how that would look or what would be involved in that. Hey, what's up everyone? Game Dad here, and I'm coming at you with another mod video. And today we are taking this old beat up looking Game Boy Color. It is a lime green Game Boy Color, and we are going to turn it into a Pikachu edition. Now, in addition to this, normally it would have this kind of lens on here, but it's unfortunately made of plastic, or like the plexiglass, so I don't know if I'm going to use it because my buddy Thor actually sent me a much nicer Game Boy Color screen that is actually designed for the LCD mod we're going to be doing today, and it's glass. So glass screens, they are much more crystal clear, and they don't get micro scratches on them like the plastic ones do. You know, this one, it does not have any of the Pokemon around the bezel, but this is an aftermarket shell anyway, so I don't know if I really care. We will decide partway through the video if that is going to happen, but we are going to take this Game Boy right here, turn it into a Pokemon Game Boy, and we are going to give it an LCD upgrade. Hey look, I have another screen in there that I'm not going to use. So we're going to upgrade it and put a little LCD action in this that will also have the ability to tap a little sensor and change the brightness on it. Now, if you want to find out if I went with the Pokemon lens or the glass lens, be sure to stay until the end of the video. That way you can see which one I decided to go with. But before we dive in, if you are new to the channel or you just haven't yet, please be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, as well as that little notification bell. That way you get an alert every time I got a new video coming out. Alright, now, let's crack this thing open and get it upgraded. Alright, so here we have all of the different parts laid out. As you can see, I have that nice new Pokemon shell. It's got that yellow and blue. You got the red and green buttons on there. We have the screen mod kit for that LCD upgrade right here. And then I have the two different kind of screen overlays. One is the Pokemon edition, so it's got the Pokeball and the various Pokemon on there. Let's see, we got Pikachu, Togepi, and I think that's a Jigglypuff. So we got those surrounding the bezel on there. Or we have a generic one, but this one is made of glass. Like I said, haven't decided which one I am going to do. We're going to save that for the end, though. So if you think I'm going to do the Pokemon one, let me know in the comments. And if you think I'm going to do the glass one, let me know in the comments. And we will see who was right at the end of this mod. So first thing we need to do is get this taken apart. I have thrown some batteries in. That way you can go ahead and see just how awful it looks right now. We do this, and you can't see that very well. Okay, so we're going to turn this off, get the batteries out. And one thing that's kind of crazy about this is that will be, I think, lower than the lowest setting that the modded screen will actually do. So we're going to go ahead and handy dandy iFixit kit. Now this does use a tri-wing screwdriver, and it also uses a Phillips. So that's what's nice about the iFixit kit. They are not a sponsor, but they have pretty much everything you could ever need inside of this. This is the ProTech toolkit. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all of these tri-wing screws. We'll see if I reuse them. They actually are pretty clean looking. But the new kit does come with new screws. So if you ever buy one of these kits to do a reshell or anything like that, that is available. So we have a total of 6 tri-wing screws to get inside of this. And luckily these are all the same size. I believe the Phillips ones on the inside are slightly different length, but that's all right. Keeps it nice and organized to be able to tell what is what. So we'll get all of these out. So you have 2 up at the top by the cartridge insert, 2 in the middle, and then 2 in the battery area. And this actually is a really clean shell. It is not a bad shell at all, but I don't really care for the standard colors. So we're going to crack this guy open and make it not standard. So pop that off. There we go. We are done with that back shell. And honestly, I may actually just keep this shell. If I get a really junked out mod later on, I could always use the shell for that. So I'm gonna switch out my tri-wing for a Phillips, and right here on the board you can see that we have 3 different Phillips screws. We have one right here behind the battery terminals, and then we got one in the center, and then one off to the side. Now, luckily this doesn't require any kind of other work. The board is actually really clean. I will probably take a little bit of isopropyl alcohol and just clean up the contact pads a bit, but it is a really clean handheld. I don't remember if I cleaned this a long time ago or what, but I have had this sitting on a shelf for a long time and decided I wanted to upgrade it. So we'll get those 3 out of there. Then I'm going to use my tweezers, and I'm going to release the 2 pins that are holding down the ribbon cable for the screen. We'll just do that right there and pop that ribbon cable out. I could always save this screen in case I get something that doesn't work well later. And there you have it. We have the motherboard for the Game Boy Color, and everything else that is in here I am actually just going to leave in here. So this will just be another shell for something else down the road maybe. And let's take a look at the pads. Yeah, so the little gold or brass contacts on here, they look fine, but I do like to make sure that they are extra clean. So we're going to use a little bit of this isopropyl alcohol. Normally this little thing works fine. It's almost empty, that's fine. This is a little pump, and it brings up the liquid from inside the container, so it's really handy. So we're going to go ahead, just clean these off. And since it's alcohol and not water, I use 99%. It will not damage these contacts in any way, but I do make sure to dry it. I don't want to leave a bunch of stuff there. We'll go ahead and clean off the speaker just a little bit. You can see where some dust was coming through the grill on there. So that's good. Let's see, anything else? We'll do a little bit inside of the switches here as well. There we go. And yeah, everything else actually looks really nice on this. Even the battery contacts are very clean. So this is actually a really great condition board. So what we're going to do now is set this board right over here for a moment, and we're going to take a look at all of this. So this will be the last piece that goes on. It's got a nice matching blue battery cover. We have the sticker that will go onto the back of it, and then of course we have, you know, the main event right here. And this is where everything for this new screen mod is going to fit in. Now for this screen mod, what we need to do is put something onto the back of it. It's got a giant bit of metal right there, and there are a bunch of little, I think these are, what would these be called? Capacitors, transistors, something like that on the back here. And they will end up getting folded over, and we want to make sure that nothing's going to happen to them when they do. Now there is a little piece of rubber here, which is nice, but you never know, something could happen, something could touch. So they do give you an extra little piece of sticky film right here, and this sticky film will cover this other area, and it will make sure that there is no metal on metal contact, because that would be bad. It would short it out, and we don't want that to happen. So we're going to go ahead and stick that on there. There we go. We'll just smooth that out a bit, and now we have a nice little protectant on there. That way it will not have any risk of getting jacked up. Now, what we need to do is connect it to this actual chipboard right here. And it's fairly self-explanatory. The different sizes give you a good indication as to where everything is actually going to connect to. So we have our little tiny touch sensor right here. We're going to go ahead and flip up its little connector piece. And we're going to go pins down on this one. That way it gets a nice solid contact. And then as soon as that's in there, we smush that flat back down. It is not a pressure fit, so you do have to make sure that you actually sandwich it back down. I'm going to go ahead and open up these other flaps here. And now we need to get these other pieces all connected. Now this is kind of an adapter ribbon, if you will. This connects onto this main board, and that is what actually wraps up and around, just like where the other one just was. So we're gonna make sure that we get this one plugged in, and looking at this, this will flip contacts up. So that definitely tells us that this should go in here. Let's see. So we'll go like this, and then we need to get this one connected. And this is where I was talking about the folding will come in. All of these slide in fairly nicely into place, and then you just kind of sandwich them down. And now, as you can see, this would definitely not fit within the system, of course. So what you do is you actually fold that up and over, and then you fold that over. And what's going to happen is this whole thing sits here, and then this will fold up into the actual connector so that it can actually connect. So we're going to do that. We're going to go ahead and take our piece right here, kind of set this into place, and we will need to adjust it, but we'll just kind of get it temporarily set into place right here. That way we can get this actual screen bit, or this actual motherboard, ready to go. So we're going to do this, sandwich this, and this is a later revision of this mod kit. This is a revision 5, and the key difference in the revisions is actually this little touch sensor. It used to be that the touch sensor went right in front of the IR blaster right here, but they have since in later revisions moved it over so you can still get to it through the plastic. It'll still touch fine, but it doesn't block your IR sensor, so you don't lose functionality. So we're going to go ahead and connect that cable, and then we're going to sandwich those connectors down. It's the same ones we pulled earlier. We just kind of smush them down on each side. Double check. There we go. And then that will be ready to go. Before we actually push it all down, though, of course, we need to put in our buttons and our actual new membranes. So I just wanted to get that connected first. We'll go ahead and push that over to the side. And we're going to throw in our nice blue D-pad. Something very nice when you do mods like this, they take care to actually put the notches where they need to go. For example, on a D-pad, it's got a notch. There is a little post inside of here to ensure that you do not put it in the wrong spot. And that is the same thing with the A and B buttons. They put all the little prongs and tines exactly where they need to go. This one appears to have a little bit of manufacturing stuff left on it. Let's go ahead and take that off. Oh, almost. A little extra plastic on there from the process. So we'll throw the B button down where it's going to go. And they will only fit one way. So that makes it very nice. There we go. And then we'll put the A button in. Drop that. Now the start and select, it is only a membrane. It is not a physical button. I mean, it's a physical button, but it's just a membrane over it. And then we'll go ahead and put this in here. Again, the holes match up. That way you can very easily just toss it in there. This also has some extra manufacturing stuff on it. There we go. Got all that extra out of there. So there is a large hole and a small hole here. That way you can line it up properly with the posts. And then we'll go ahead and get this other one in. Line these up. All right, now that those membranes are in, we can go ahead and flip this back over. The speaker drops right into place. And everything will just kind of smush down exactly where it needs to go. And then what I like to do is just get at least one of the little set screws in. That way the board will not be moving around while I'm trying to make minor adjustments. Let's see here, let's get that connected. I am reusing the original screws here. So we're going to go ahead and screw that in. And there we go. Now that won't move on me as I am adjusting. And as you can see, that screen is super crooked in there, so we definitely need to adjust it. Normally, I would say do not touch the screen because, you know, fingerprints and stuff, but I do have a microfiber cloth, so I'll be able to go ahead and get that all cleaned up before it is officially sandwiched in how I want it to go. So let's see here. Let's get this adjusted. I am using tweezers, but I'm taking care to only be on the outside of the screen. That way it doesn't get messed up or anything like that. We're going to go ahead and smush that down a little bit more. Now, one thing that they do give to help sandwich it, sometimes you may need this little foam pad. I typically don't like to use them, but you may. You never know. It might be something that you want to do. So this is giving me a little twisty trouble right here. And apparently a cat has come out here and is attacking my feet now and meowing at me. And my daughter thinks it's hilarious. One moment, everyone. Okay, so now that my oldest daughter has rescued her kitten from attacking my feet, we can go ahead and get this aligned. And one thing that is giving me trouble as to why it's not aligning, the little board is actually not going down into its little square behind here. So all I gotta do is get in there and push it a little bit, and it should fall right into place. There we go, we got one side of it. Let's get the other side. Just push that. And it should fall right into the molding of the plastic. There we go. That holds down a little bit better now. And then now when I move that screen, it's not fighting me as much. Now, definitely take care. Remember, it is an LCD, but it's just a higher quality one. But you want to make sure that you are not pushing down onto the screen because you could crack it, and that would just be bad news for everyone. Something else, if there are any little hairs, for example, if you have small children that have cats, make sure you get all the hairs out of there, because once you put the screen down, or the screen cover, it means that you would have to take apart the entire handheld in order to get back to a point where that hair and little dust bits and stuff like that isn't in there. So I have the screen where I want it to be. So what I'm going to do now is get the other screws put into place. That way this motherboard is held down firmly. Go ahead and screw this one down. So remember, you only got 3 of them. So we screw that side, push that one down in a little bit more. You got the battery terminal side, you got the opposite side, and then you got one dead center. Boop. Try not to drop your screwdriver like I just did. Let me screw that down. And then this kit also came with a nice new blue power switch. And you want to go ahead and put this in the proper way. It does have a little nub on it. That nub goes into the front part of the Game Boy. And that will be evident because when you put the switch in, it will actually surround the physical switch that is on here. Now, something cool that this came with also is instead of the shiny black IR cover, it actually has kind of a smoked gray one. So we're going to go ahead and push this down where it goes now. It just kind of slides right in front of that IR blaster. And if you do not have fat fingers like me, it will probably be a lot easier for you to do. And something else that will greatly help you in your quest is make sure that that IR blaster piece of plastic isn't going in upside down, because obviously that causes difficulties. Now we're going to go ahead and put this piece on, but what you want to go ahead and do is take care of this little piece right here. This does go inside the plastic, and it's going to be kind of just sandwiched right inside here. It's going to push into one part of the plastic here and then kind of be protected by this other one. You do not want it to be sticking out, because then the cable will get pinched. It won't work right. It won't look right. It'll just be ugly and it won't be a good time. So I've got that in the right spot. Gonna go ahead and sandwich this down. There we go. Nice little bit of pressure fit there. Test the buttons. And everything is pressing nicely. Those membranes aren't getting all stuck down in there. Let's see, the wheel moving nice. The switch is moving well. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is put in a couple of these screws, make one final adjustment on the screen just to make sure it's nice and centered. And then after that, will decide on which cover we are going with. Okay, so now that all of that is connected and everything is back together, we're going to go ahead and put this back sticker on. Now, this is a generic sticker. It does not come with an actual, like, legit serial number or anything like that. Of course, that would be extremely dishonest. Now, not that I would ever attempt to sell this as anything but a completely reshelled and modded device, but there are people that will do that, so be on the lookout. If something looks brand new and it has a very generic serial number on it, odds are it is fake. So we're going to go ahead and slap this sticker on. Try to line it up nicely. There we go. Smush that on there. Okay, now, moment of truth. Are we going with the Pokemon one or the glass one? This one provides a little bit more clarity, and the screen size is actually more closely adapted to the screen mods. However, it's a Pokemon Edition one. I'm going with the Pokemon screen. I will save this glass one for another mod that's a more generic color. So what we're going to do is remove all of this sticker backing on here. So you got that one layer right there, and then you have all these other layers on here that need to peel off. So you just peel off from the corner. There we go. And what you want to do is there is another layer of adhesive that can be removed right here. You want to do that because otherwise you won't be able to see anything. If you're using tweezers, just take care not to scratch the inside of the screen. Speaking of, this is the point where you bring in a nice microfiber cloth. Something that will not leave lint behind, but also something that will not scratch your nice new screen, because that would suck to have a new screen and it already have a scratch in it that you cannot get to. Speaking of, here is another one of those darn cat hairs. Love those cats, but man, do they shed a lot. So we're gonna get one more little hair out of there. There we go. All right, and we'll wipe away any remaining dust. And then something else to do is also, even though it was just peeled, I like to make sure no dust attached itself to the inside of this screen, because that would be unfortunate. I don't want to take the whole thing apart. Now, from there, it looks all fogged and everything. There is one more layer to peel off, but we're going to go ahead and line this up. It will fit in there very nicely, and you smush all along these edges, get a nice seal in there, and there we go. That peel is done. We have a nice shiny new cover on there, Pokemon Edition. So let's go ahead and throw our batteries back in. And we'll put our cover on and power on. Look at that, significantly brighter, and it should, if you touch around here, there you go. So when this is completely off, it is about as bright as it was before. I don't know why anyone would want to play in that, so tap, nice bright screen, nice Pokemon Edition, Game Boy Color, looking fantastic. Let's see if speaker still works fine. Let's see. There it is. So there you have it, everyone. That is a nice new Game Boy Color Pokemon Edition mod. We got that nice aftermarket shell on there. We got that nice new LCD screen. It looks fantastic, and this will see a lot more life now.